this class that they have to work quietly.
In the 1880s, the government teamed with church groups in an effort to bring the Lakota into the American mainstream society. Their slogan was, "Kill the Indian to save the man."
George, I told you that you're supposed
They call them black robes that take our children in our language.
Over the next 50 years, Lakota children were taken from their parents and sent to special boarding schools far away. By the end of the 1930s, most of these boarding schools closed in favor of using the same tactics in many of the reservation schools, some as late as the 1970s.
And they had to speak English, so the English part of it was very hard, and a lot of times there's some that got killed by these ministry people because they spoke the language and didn't want to speak English.
The children were forced to pick a new name, to speak only in English or get their mouths washed out with Lysol, or worse, cut their hair, forbidden to practice their ceremonies, essentially lose their identity. An attempt at cultural genocide.
So a lot of the children that came back speaking English and dressed like a white man, they were like shamed that the ones that were still here saying teasingly, they're a white man, they don't belong there with them when they came home. So those times were hard on the ones that went to the east to learn the white man's way. And the ones that stayed with their parents and never got to experience that were the ones that still hold the tradition and the culture.
The Crazy Horse family evaded those who came looking for their children. However, at the same time, the government had police patrolling the reservations, looking for those who practiced the Lakota religion. Lakota spirituality had been outlawed in the 1880s and stayed outlawed until 1978. The government was using every means available to wipe out the Lakota way of life.
It almost worked with our people because they almost lost their identity of the way of life that our grandfathers and grandmothers fought for and died for. So some of the ones that were responsible, we were told there was an old man named Hornchips that kept our way of living life alive by going around doing these ceremonies that are sacred to us. He was still healing the people of how we were given this pipe and the way to pray with it, the ceremonies that came with this pipe. So this is what he kept alive by himself almost, because it was almost gone in the 40s, 50s. So he went around to some of the elders that I learned from, like my grandfather, Petaga Yuhao Money, or Pete Catches, Senior.
Trust is the greatest thing there is, along with truth and honesty. And I don't see that in the outside world.
When they were young, he took them and put them on hilltops, him and Foos Crow and Felix Green, and Archie Fire or Lame Deer. He forced it on them to keep alive when he left this earth. So they all did their best to do this, to keep our people in this way of living life in today's modern world. So they did what they were told to do from each vision quest that they received. The visions that they received, they kept alive to where when I was a young man, just now getting into the culture, I got to pray with these men that was a link from the past to the present. So I got to experience miracles that they performed. They let me see. They put me on a path with my chanupa to do the truth, seek the truth, see the truth, tell the truth honestly. Like my grandfather that put me on the hill, Petaga Yuhamani, he said that this is how I'm supposed to walk with my chanupa, especially when the grandfathers told him who I was. I was a grandson of Crazy Horse. So he said that my way was different than everybody else's because of what I had to do in this lifetime. So he kind of showed me discern by telling me that in the future, I get a chance to heal the people. So at that time, I was in my 20s. Now I'm in my 50s, and I'm finding this, what he told me was true, that I am today healing my people. This morning when I prayed, I heard my grandfather talk to me, and it reminded me of that time, what I was supposed to do. And it made me happy that I followed what he said, what my father said, of how we're supposed to do this for the people, to keep our way, our family, the Oyate, alive with this truth, to put them back on track, what they're supposed to do as a people. So these men these grandfathers that kept this way, sometimes when I remember them, I feel joy, and then I feel lonesome for them. But in time, I know I'm going to see them, my father and my grandfathers. So while I'm here, these are the things that we want to pass to the children, grandchildren, and the unborn that's coming. Me and my Misunkalas, my younger brothers, were put on this path from ceremony, time to wake the people up and heal them with our grandfathers. So this is what we're doing, that these grandfathers that were keeping this way of living life alive is still here. So today you could hear these truths that I heard when I was in my 20s. A grandfather talk of a nation that's here, a way of walking and living life on this grandmother earth with all of nature was prayer, a spiritual way of living life. This way has no time. The way they prayed back then, they could pray like that today. It's still here among the families, the people. So this is a way of our family, of our grandfathers that lived before us, how they walked here in their lifetimes. Just as me and my brothers are walking today in our lifetime, remembering that their prayer for the people was more important than themselves. We remember all life that lives on this earth, our grandmother. A lot of wrongs have been done in our lifetime to our people. These things we want to correct. It's time to heal our people. So our family, my grandfather, Tashunka Wichko, wanted us to stand up with him and tell the world that there is a way to heal this grandmother earth, the spirit of the earth man, and the spirit of all life that lives on this earth. So this is the beginning of this way. Long time ago, before this pipe came, there was no ceremonies. They just talked to the Creator. They were direct in this way of prayer. But they forgot this. Not just the Lakota, but the Earthman. So we're here to wake this way of spirituality up among the people of this world. Time to heal their hearts. Time to stay positive and believe what's in good and truth, sacred. So this is what we're here with these DVDs to show the people and tell the people that every family has oral history like what we have. They all have a way of prayer like what we have. And it's all for one people.